A little girl was looking at her clock and realized that she was going to be late for Sunday school. So she started rushing along, and she was walking, and she was going, "Oh, dear Lord, don't let me be late. Oh, dear Lord, please don't let me be late. Oh, dear Lord, please don't let me be late." And she tripped, and she fell, and she got her dress dirty, and she tore one side of it, and she wipes herself and cleans up, and she starts moving along. "Oh, dear Lord, please don't let me be late. Please don't let me be late. And don't shove me either." Well, we all have had those moments, yes, that we feel shoved. In my book, When Did You Die? I actually call that a spiritual location. Can you bring the camera up closer? A spiritual location, right? And it's when something in your life occurs, yes, and it takes you for a moment, yes? You didn't expect it. You weren't planning for it. You thought that you could actually control your life somehow, which is we know is an illusion. And so something just shakes your world. Anyone had that? Some of you perhaps are having that now. A spiritual location is when something occurs in your life that was unplanned. It caught you off guard. And somehow in your conscious awareness, you forgot on some level that you asked for a radical change in your life. And there it comes. And when we sit with it and when we allow it, it brings us to a new place of understanding about ourselves. And it brings us to a greater place than where we were before. We were talking last week, I brought up the story about in Cana when Jesus' mother said to him, "They're out of wine." And he felt shoved. He felt like, what's that have to do with me? You know? And she just kept looking at him. I mean, that's what we're to interpret. It doesn't say that. But he went, "Well, my time hasn't come." But somewhere he had that shift within himself that he realized that here I am now, and I am in the now. I am in the place that I am, and I'm going to truly own that position. Yes, many people have been given credit for saying, either I change circumstances or circumstances change me. Everybody breathe. Did you like that one? It just got so quiet. If I don't change circumstances, circumstances will change me. There's a beautiful quote from the Gospel of Thomas that says, "If I discover that which is within me, it will save me. If I do not discover that which is within me, it will destroy me." Back in 2003, I went through a phase that I was into a lot of yearly mantras and statements. You know, you kind of move on from different things over time. But in 2003, I would say in 2003, what I came here to be will manifest. You know, what I came here to be will manifest in 2003. And so I said that repeatedly, and I filled in, kind of like what happened here, for a minister, and just one Sunday. And people after the service came up to me and said, "We would really like you, we'd like to vote on you." And I said, "Oh, what am I running for?" You know, "Well, we are looking for a minister." And I said, "Thank you. I'm not really looking." "Well, we know you're supposed to be our minister and we'd like to vote on you." And so to save you all that story, I'll save that for another Sunday. I wind up accepting and being honored to be there and all of that. And everybody was so excited, and everybody was in their joy. And then all of a sudden, doubt came in and questions. Do you ever do that in your own life? Amazing things are happening. And I don't know, do we believe that something has to be wrong now? Or do we believe, we might get disappointed? I'm not really sure. I think for all of us, they're different. But all of a sudden, a group of people, a committee, decided that there would be an issue about grief because I was replacing Reverend Allen, who had been there for 13 years. And so they were determined that people were going to be grieving and they weren't going to be happy and, all this stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that statement. It's just, it was very obvious that wasn't what was happening. So we brought in a grief counselor, a professional grief counselor, and she comes into the office because, everybody's teachable, right? We don't want to be self-righteous. That was in religiosity. We got enough of that over there, did we not? So we wanted to be open, but she comes in, she sits down, she looks at Reverend Allen, and she said, "Are you leaving because you want to?" He said, "Oh, yeah, I've been planning this for 3 years." And she said, "And Reverend Temple, are you coming here because you want to be here?" Yeah, I want to be here. I feel like God appointed me. Are you Unity? She said, I won't ever forget it. "Aren't you Unity?" And we said, "Well, yes, of course." Her signs out there and everything. She said, "Then what is the problem?" Be who you are. Are you really Unity? Be who you are. Immerse yourself in the energy of the 5 principles that you say you live and move and have your being in. I can't offer you my services. Just have a vision, she said. And the rest was history. It must have worked out okay. I was there 18 years. That being said, we look at vision, and often when you mention the word vision, people are very quick to say, "I'm not a visionary." How many of you have said that? "Oh, I'm not a visionary." You don't need the position of being a visionary to realize that you are creating visions all the time for yourself. It's like we tell people in Mastermind, you have a mastermind team with your husband, your spouse, your friends, your children, the singers. Anywhere you gather, where 2 or more are gathered, you have an understanding of what you are co-creating together. Yes? And so you have visions, and sometimes we're not aware of how strong those visions are. Like, I grew up with people that had the vision, no matter what I do, I can't ever get ahead. That's a vision. Not only is it a vision, it's a fulfilled prophecy. Yes? I have reached out. I've been on Match.com, Love.com, PleaseSaveMe.com, and I've finally found someone that I can be okay now, but it never works out. That's a vision. I'm too old for this to be happening to me. Hopefully you've learned through our teaching this year to say my age is instead of I'm old. But being old is keeping me from doing X, Y, Z. That's a vision. Being too young is keeping me. That's a vision. You follow me? So we are, the level of unity is more than the learning, at least for me. I catch myself often with words that just no longer work. I cannot use those words anymore. I cannot make those statements anymore because the vibration changes. And so you get very selective with what is said. And people often say, "I'm just teasing." It's like, oh, the angels and the archetypes and all the gods of the universe are supposed to know that's a joke? How do they know what's a joke and what's real? Every word is a prayer, and we are always praying. Does this work for you? Because I've got a little bit more time. Are you flowing with me? But it's ongoing. Like, my mother was a worrier. And, a little noise on the side, and she'd jump, and, "Mom, what is it? I heard something. Oh, I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous. And it was that space of that was her first response. We all have first responses to things. Like when you call a friend, I believe I've said this before, you call a friend and go, I needed to talk to you. And often they'll go, "What's wrong?" Instead of, Hey, you got me. Tell me all about it. So these are ways of being that we learn to look at, and how are they in alignment with our thoughts and words create our own universe, yes? And it's like, wow. I know a little girl, and because we're on video, I'm not going to use names today. But I know a story about a little girl, true story, up close and personal, that her biological parents, the mother is a drug addict, in and out of the hospital all year long, ODing many times throughout the year. Her biological dad has over 75 felonies. Are you with me? Her biological parents, okay? She's adopted by a family member, and she does not have relation with the biological parents, for obvious reasons, at least right now. She's in first grade. She immersed herself in unity principles. She was told, you are beautiful, you are wonderful, you are amazing. And she heard this information all the time, day after day after day. This little girl measures with only 3% of the nation in her wisdom and her academic knowledge. Only 3% of the nation can stand beside her as an equal based on age group and her knowledge. Why? Because she did not get bombarded with, you're going to be, I already see signs like your mom. You're going to be like your dad. Look how your dad is. You know, you're going to be the first time you got in trouble. Oh my gosh, here we go. Did anybody else get that? I didn't have those types of biological parents, but they were learning how to be grown-ups the whole time out loud. And I got all of that, you know, I'm going to be like my aunt, and I'm going to have woman problems like she did, and nasal problems like my grandmother, and I was going to be grumpy like my other grandmother, and I wasn't going to be reliable like my cousin, you know, and I'm 5, you know, and I'm going to be all these things, you know, and every now and then they still dig one up in therapy. I go, oh, there it is. Oh, yeah, I'm going to let that one go. But this is the truth of our being. This is what Charles Fillmore said all the time. This is what the African proverb says. God is having a dream, and you are in the dream yourself. And what would it be like? What would it be like if you could be the age that you feel like instead of the age you keep telling yourself you are? And what would it be like in the love and the amazing and the incredible energy? What would it be like? And what would it be like if everybody around you, you see them as how you choose to see them and want to see them and wish for them, instead of reminding them of the tattoos and limitations? We used the word tattoo years ago before people got lots of tattoos. To tattoo yourself means to program yourself as to being limited. We program ourselves repeatedly and redundantly. And then you look at Santa Barbara County, of what occurred 5 years ago with the fire and the mudslides. I was actually here 4 months after that happened. And you look at what occurred then as a real, like, post-traumatic stress disorder, yes? And this occurring, and shortly after that, when you put your wings back on and you started feeling like open to live and fly again, then you had what occurred in 2020. And it's very interesting, you know, as being a minister and a spiritual leader, just about everybody took hold of 2020 New Vision. Well, I didn't want to do that. I don't want to be like everybody else, you know, so I wanted to come up with something different. Ironically, though, 2020 New Vision is when the pandemic came. And in that pandemic came an energy like none of us ever realized. And I don't think we need to stay there. I think history, it describes us. It doesn't have to define us. But I think sometimes to tell a story and bring it to the surface, it's okay to take a big breath. Are you with me? It's okay to realize that that was a big deal. There, we were told, and we were with the media over and over again, and there was a lot of fear. And often the fear affected people's immune system more than anything else, of being afraid of what was going to happen. And many people, it occurred to them like we were going to die, like that was a new awakening. But it was a serious awakening, and people did. And that's very sad. And yet there is something still going on energetically that some people have not returned to the living. Are you with me? Some people have not returned to being totally alive and trusting that it's okay. It's okay to hug somebody. It's okay to be close to somebody. It's okay to believe that we're on the other side of it. It really is. Through that period, we had fight, flight, and freeze. A lot of fight, flight, and freeze. I don't know about you, but sometimes I'm still taken off guard. I mean, and I think about it later and I go, oh, somebody will come up to me and want to hug me, and I appreciate that, but I go to that pattern of 2 years ago and I just freeze. And I go, I'm okay, I don't have anything, And it has nothing to do with the person. It has everything to do with, we lived in a practice of almost 3 years. So what I'm calling to the surface today is for each and every one of us to check, where are we on the living spectrum? Instead of being 220 volts, as Jack Boland used to say, we are unity. Let's move it up to the 440 volt. Can you be with me on that? Let's look at that vibrancy of life, because that's what nature is able to do so beautifully, is replace and become something different within itself. What occurred has occurred, but there's something wanting to be replaced within each of us that has asked us to go deeper and not live less, but more. And that's what I hold. It's like I said the other night in a class I taught. The secret of life is not whether you will live or die. It's the parts of yourself you allow to die while you're living. Life is forever giving of itself. And we can allow it or we can repel it. There's a little boy, he's over at the beach, over in Carpinteria, and he sees a woman sitting there on the bench, and he says to her, "Are you a good person?" And she said, "Yes." And he says, "Do you read the Daily Word every day?" "Yes, I do." "Can I trust you?" "Yes, honey, you can." "Will you hold my quarter while I go swimming?" Do we trust the universe? Do we believe that we are immersed in a law that is forever giving the energy, forever giving the love? Do we trust in that? Can we believe that what is? Can we no longer feel that we need to be isolated or protective or extra safe, and be aware of the feelings that we have so we can be our human being relatable selves again? We need each other. And some people put it out there that less and less spiritual communities are going to be born. I predict we are going to have more spiritual communities than we have ever had in the history of humankind. Are you with me on that? I believe that these will be the stomping grounds for people to come all over the world to tune in and remind each other that they are made in the image and likeness of God. And really, that's where it is. Like the little girl that has become brilliant because she did not buy into and was not told stories about who she is now, what she could be, what she used to be, who she loves, who she cares for, what story. It's an open book. God is anxiously awaiting. I added the word anxiously. I don't know that God talks, but we hear God through intuition faculties. There's an anxiousness that says, let go. And let me show you what's on the other side of the horizon. Can you be with me on that? Let go and let's see what's on the other side. Let's make this matter. That happened in our culture and here. And we're bringing in some great teachers that are going to share stories in the Vibrant Living series about these very things, of people that went from tragedy to triumph. Anything is possible, as long as we are aligned. You talk about isolation as a cute little story. There's this man that he's been on a deserted island for years, and he was so shocked when he saw a ship. He was like, oh my gosh, finally, I'm going to get off this island. They pull up, and he went, oh, hi, and they're going, wow, you've been here so long. We see over there is that a house? He goes, oh yeah, let me show it to you. That's where I live. Well, what's that building? Oh, that's where I go to church. Oh, that's so cool. Well, what's the other building? Oh, that's where I used to go to church. If you didn't get it, you watch online. Right? So let's stay in this together. Amazing things are happening here. And we have human behavior, and we have energies, and we have things because we need to give ourselves a breath and give ourselves some love because we endured a lot as human beings. And now we're coming together in piles of people and figuring out how to coexist. But of all people, that I would want to learn how to do that better than I ever did before would be unity people. What about you? Yes. Absolutely. Give yourselves a great big hand for that, for sure. So we've had a little bit of seriousness. So I'm going to tell you something that I think is just so funny. So a woman goes to Montecito to see her hairstylist, and she's telling her hairstylist that she's going to Rome. And so he said, oh, that's such a dirty city. What airlines are you going to take? She names it. Nowadays we can't name stuff. But anyway, we used to could. But it's like, oh, that airline. He went, oh, they're terrible and so unreliable. And, well, where are you going to stay when you get there, if you even get there? I'm staying in a hotel. I'm staying in a hotel downtown. Oh. I mean, they are, don't get me started. And what else are you going to do there? Well, we're going to the Vatican. We're going to see the Pope. Do you realize that the Pope is going to be this big from the balcony? I wouldn't even bother. So she comes back from her trip. He's so waiting, because need to be right, all that. Well, how did it go? How was it? Well, it was incredible. The city, touched my soul. I felt like I reincarnated there many, many times. It was awesome. The flight was overbooked, so we got first class. They were renovating the hotel. And they gave us the honor suite. Well, what about the Vatican and the Pope being this big? The stylist says, well, that was the whole thing. They brought a group of us and put us in a special room. We got to meet the Pope personally. It was profound. And it amazed me because in a little while, the Pope came over and he spoke in my ear. And the hairstylist said, what'd he say? He said, who in the world gives you such a terrible haircut? As we say in the old-timey days of unity, what goes around comes around, and what you put out comes back, does it not? So in closing, Jean Houston said that there was this man. He was angry, frustrated, somewhat disappointed, and he was complaining about his job, his wife, and everything going on. And he's yelling at the sky, and he goes, God, why don't you do something? And the skies parted, and God said, I did. I sent you. We're all leaders here. We're all leaders here. Let us hold for this place, these grounds, the park across the street, the culture, Santa Barbara County, the nation, and the world, that we've got this. Let us stay with amazing things are happening here and keep anything that wants to come in here of a past negativity, complaining, gossip, anything, let's put that over to the side. I'm talking to the people online. I know none of you do that. Bless you all. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.